like this, and then all I'm doing is essentially this in order to keep it, because I wanted kind of a flat, fat coil. So that's the way that I was dealing with it. So this put's wet comparatively. What I did was to make a coil. So this is my coil. I really did it by just whacking it, so that's why it's kind of square. And well, it's not so much dry as I didn't really spend all that much time making it be beautiful. It came out of a freshly pugged thing that Doug just did, so the clay might be a little bit short.
I've never heard short used to describe anything but biscuits. What do you mean by short?
Or people.
With the butter.
Clay that's short means that it cracks a lot. And so what'll happen is if you get short clay, it'll like, if you just take it and bend it, even no matter what you do, it'll crack. Mm-hmm. And it really has to do with the clay not being properly hydrated. Because if I take, if we took some dry clay out of the bin over there and added some water to it, and just really carefully kept adding water to it, and then got it to throwing consistency, and then sat down and tried to work with it right away, it would be a complete mess, just a complete mess. And so you have to age the clay for a while.
You don't need to use slip, or that makes it
slippery. I
slippery.
should probably be using slip, but I'm not gonna. All I'm gonna do is add a little bit of water.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let it slip itself by, if I just add some water to wet, because it's such wet clay,
Yeah.
and then do this, it just it makes its own slip. Oops. The trick on this, if you were doing this not in one day, which is what I'm doing, what you'd really like is you'd like your rim to be like really leather hard, so it's not going to distort, but the bottom to be a little bit wet. doing is I'm throwing up a little bit and throwing down a little bit, and the throwing down is to really blend it down into the base.
You're not invading the space of the first pot now, are you?
Well, I am in a sense. I'm going just down below where the join was.
So I'm wondering if it's a good idea to start out with an original piece that wasn't so dry.
How do you mean?
Well, no, you made it tonight and you didn't get it. I'm not sure if it was dry to your satisfaction.
No, it was not.
Feels like it could be the face, not the foot of the pot area.
Be the what?
The face, the top of the pot.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is really how you throw these. I mean, here's the thing. This could be. You can sort of think of it this way. I mean, could I throw a pot and then trim a foot this big? Sure. If I wanted to spend, an inordinate amount of time trimming. Essentially what this is all about is making a foot which is really, really big and really is, essentially as big as a pot almost. I mean, whether you're putting it on a bottom of a bowl or a bottom of a cup or...
That's good though.
I mean, I just threw it on a cup. The reason that I threw it on, that I did this shape was simply because I needed something that would dry up really fast.
This would be a lot easier. I used to love to make these pieces that had a kind of a chalice-shaped foot, but
Yeah.
it was very hard to do that because you had to have a lot of clay down there and then cut way in.
Is throw a pot, then throw a foot, and then join those two together like a joined pot. And it's like you don't always think about something like that just because. See, I can just bring it in.
This works better than like putting them together after because you can work better with the proportions of the shape now.
Well,
Because they're almost
no,
like one piece right now.
but
You're doing, I'm saying it.
you'd be able to do that.
You can use two different clays, top and bottom.
Yeah, so I mean, I can make it be, really chalice shaped. And you're right. I mean, you can play with, you could do proportions and but what I would do is I would say just, if you throw your pot and you know what size foot you want, or you treat it like a teapot and a spout, and you throw a couple of feet, and then you just choose which one.
You leave the top pointy like that?
No.
I would want
It's the stupidest thing.
This has gotten too wet, so it's collapsing on me. Got a little thin. Put it mildly. So anyway, I mean, that's all there is to it. It's just about, what Ed said when we were talking about doing this, the thing that you have to be really careful about is you have to try to use as little water as possible, because if you use too much, you're just going to go through the bottom of your original pot. So it's kind of a way to make, or if you wanted to make, even if you didn't want to do sort of a full chalice, like Constance was talking about, if you just wanted a really spread foot and you didn't want to deal with trimming, you can do it this way. It's just kind of a random technique, and I think that it's not. I think it's really something that you really it's got to be driven by a particular desire to make a particular foot. I mean, it doesn't make much sense to deal with it otherwise.